Every day in the USA, people find themselves in court.
This is in the District Court of Greenwood County, Kansas, case entitled State of Kansas versus Tammy Jana Swink. It is case number 2021 CR 169. Jill Gillette appears as Greenwood County Attorney. Joseph Favre as Defense Counsel. Tammy Swink appears at the Greenwood County Courthouse's Zoom location. This matter comes before the court at this time for further proceedings in regards to a warrant to show cause alleging probation violation. It would appear that this warrant to show cause alleges that the defendant did not report as or contact the ISO as instructed by the ISO for numerous number of weeks. This case is in furtherance of a sentencing proceeding that was held in this case back on March 31 of 2022, where this court imposed a 13-month Department of Corrections sentence, but granted Senate Bill 123 treatment and probation. There's been a previous probation review documented by probation violation hearing journal entry, which previously imposed a 60-day sanction for noncompliance. Mr. Favre, after that review, what is your client's position regarding the allegation currently before the court?
Judge, the allegation we have on the warrant to show cause was that she failed to report, and that is accurate. The end of September was her last report date. October was when she had failed to report, and Ms. Swink would acknowledge that that is accurate. There are some extenuating circumstances, but she would acknowledge that she did fail to report.
All right. The specific allegation is the defendant was instructed to contact her ISO every Wednesday by phone until it is determined that she will be residing, where she will be residing. Last contact was September 24, 2024. Attempts to contact her by phone have been unsuccessful. That's pursuant to Mr. Ketley's allegations, dated November 7. So it looked like that there was about a 6-week period there where there was no contact or communication. Is that what you're stipulating to, Mr. Favre?
I don't know the exact date. I would acknowledge that the allegation in the warrant to show cause that after September 24th she did fail to report for some period of time is accurate. I don't know how long that period of time was.
All right. Ms. Swank, it's the court's understanding based on your attorney's announcement that you would intend to waive any due process hearing that you'd be entitled to, where the state would have the obligation of proving this allegation by a preponderance of the evidence. You can challenge the state's evidence with the assistance of your lawyer, present your own evidence, confront the state's witnesses unless good cause was shown. And I need to point out to you that among other lesser remedies, the court could consider just an outright revocation of your probation and having you serve the remaining balance of your sentence locked up. Do you understand these things?
Yes, sir.
Do you waive a hearing in this case and agree that you committed the violation as alleged?
Yes, sir.
All right, Ms. Swink, your attorney seemed to be equivocating on this a little bit, so I need to pin it down with you. The allegation is that you were supposed to contact the ISO every Wednesday by phone until it was determined where you would be residing. Your last contact with him was September 24th of 2024, and then by November 7th, 2024, about 6 weeks had passed and you hadn't contacted him. Is that what you're stipulating to?
Yes, sir.
All right. The court will find that the defendant has waived her right to a hearing in this case and stipulates and agrees that she committed the non-contact, non-reporting violation as alleged by Mr. Ketley. The court does find that this is a substantial material violation of the terms and conditions of defendant's probation. We'll turn to the dispositional phase of this hearing, and I'll ask the state's attorney first, Ms. Gillette, what is your office's recommendation?
Judge, based on the situation, we are recommending that she serve her underlying. I am aware that she had an incident November 29th of 24 where she was held in a shed, but From the police report, she followed the individual over to their home. She was still missing from September 24th to November 29th of 2024 for a 2-month time period where she did not contact Mr. Ketley at all. I do understand that she had the incident on November 29th of 24 and then got out. She ended up being arrested, and she only contacted Mr. Ketley after she was arrested. She didn't even notify him that she moved to Wichita. In her first probation violation hearing, she absconded, did not go to treatment, and took off. And then in her second hearing, she had absconded and taken off. And each time she continues to abscond and take off and not do the things that need to be done to complete her probation. She is not amenable to probation. She puts herself in situations where there can be injurious habits and behaviors, and is not successfully doing the treatment through her Senate Bill 123 program that is designed to help her. And she keeps going back to her same old habits of running off and not reporting to Mr. Ketley. This is her third time here. And the court had told her, and I made it part of the journal entry, that this was the last time the court was going to give her a chance. That she needed to do what she needed to do. Maybe that was in her first one, but she's not doing what she needs to do. She just keeps taking off and absconding. And, you know, choices have consequences. Bad things happen to everyone, and your choice to show up to work, to show up to court, to show up to who you need to show up to, takes precedence. And she disappeared for 2 months. I know she's going to tell you about the events that happened on November 29th, but the bigger question is, where was she from September through November and the time before and the time before that? And though she's reporting to Mr. Ketley right now, it wasn't until after the warrant was served on her. She needs to go finish her time at KDOC.
Very well, Ms. Gillette. Mr. Favre, your recommendation regarding an appropriate disposition here?
Well, Your Honor, Ms. Gillette does correctly highlight some of what's been going on, and the issue has been that relationship that ended up hitting its apex on that November incident occurred before that, and that was an abusive relationship. Ms. Swink is kind of a weird mixed bag. In reviewing her history, she came into this case as an H box, no prior history. She's not young. She's not like the youngest defendant with no life experience. She was an older individual who picked up this felony case at and has had a lot of struggles, as is documented by Ms. Gillette on probation, but she's also had some successes. She's paid off almost all of her case. She's paid off everything but $98. I checked this morning. She had put your finger down, Elizabeth. I checked this morning. I mean, Tammy, put your finger down. I've checked this morning. So she's paid off everything but $98 on her case. She has maintained sobriety. I mean, she's willing to test today, but she's sober and she's going to her AA meetings. She has employment. She works at $20 an hour full-time at Dillard's in Wichita. It's a job she's holding down. So I think but yet this is her third time before the court. So like there's a lot of mixed information about Ms. Swink. I would suggest that we give her a sanction and then close her case because she's basically paid it off. I don't know what sanction is appropriate, but I would recommend a sanction of, I don't know. She says that a 7-day sanction will ruin her job. We'd ask the court to consider giving her something like a 7-day sanction, but she needs to do some kind of sanction and have her case closed because she has done a lot on her case. She just hasn't been consistent. So that's our recommendation today.
That's different employment than she reported at her first appearance on December 23rd.
Yeah, it is new employment. That's correct. It is new employment. That's a good job. She's holding it down.
Currently, as the ISO assigned to this case, do you have any remarks or further recommendations that you would like to make?
Well, Your Honor, the only thing that I tried to tell Ms. Swink was, if you would have just called, if she would have called me prior to November, the incident, or even after the incident in November, I wouldn't even have filed a warrant probably. I mean, I know what happened was bad because I have the Wichita Police report and I've read through it. But it's just call me, and we wouldn't be sitting here right now if she'd have just called me and let me know what was going on. She went back to her mom's in, was it Chanute, I believe. And then all of a sudden she's back in Wichita, and then normally when she's in Wichita, this is what happens.
Has this client successfully completed a Senate Bill 123 treatment program?
I think she kind of completed mostly based off of she finished her time through Senate Bill. It wasn't an unsuccessful discharge from treatment. It was like I'm trying to think of the term they use when they've given her all the information that they can give her, and now she's just pretty much needs to be able to use it herself.
All right. And so your recommendation ultimately is?
I'm at the point now to where I would agree with Mr. Fabry. I mean, for her to be on probation, probably 3 months from now, we'll probably be back in the same situation. She does fine for a couple of months, and then she just loses track of herself and loses track of everything else she's supposed to be doing. So I would recommend a sanction and close her case also.
All right. Ms. Swink, at this time, the court will address you and ask you if you have any statements that you wish to make in mitigation of punishment here, or anything further that you personally would like to present.
At the end of the day, I only have myself to blame if I can. I mean, circumstances of life will happen. I'm just glad to be here and thankful that my higher power is able to get me here healthy and alive. So I just want to be able to show you that I can make it past my 3 months. I really have a great support system now. And my job is something more than a job to me now. It's a career, and I really feel family oriented in my job. And I think they might be able to hold me on if I have to do a sanction straight, but I'll just put it in your hands, Judge.
Well, Ms. Swink, but the thing is, it was put into your hands. All you had to do is contact Mr. Ketley and stay in contact with him. He gave you specific direction to call him.
Yes, sir.
And then you went 6 weeks without contacting him. So he
Yes,
had to
sir.
file a warrant because he had lost track of you, and he had every right to presume you'd have absconded at that point.
Yes, sir. I was being held, but it's a long, I don't want to get into it. I didn't have
What do
any
you
way
mean
to contact.
you're being held? What do you mean?
I was in a bad situation in a relationship thing. So,
Believe
but,
it.
and I was trying, and I did finally was able to get out. And by the way, I called the police myself. Well, I had someone that called for me. So.
This is obviously a difficult situation. The court first observes that this case was essentially for possession of drugs, with the conviction taking place for a felony that made her qualify for Senate Bill 123 state-sponsored treatment. Though it's clearly not a 100% successful treatment program, Mr. Ketley gives the impression that she was more or less discharged from further Senate Bill 123 funding, apparently because they'd taken it as far as they could go, since this case has been pending for so long. As far as the violation goes, there are more serious ones But this is one of the easiest ones to comply with. But Ms. Swink, you just kind of took yourself out of the ball game, either by getting yourself in a bad relationship and not getting yourself out of it, or getting yourself to a phone. And just about everybody in society has almost 100% of the time access to a phone nowadays. Give Mr. Ketley a call and let him know what's going on. That would have been the proper thing to do rather than disappear for 6 weeks, especially when you were someone that had not too long ago received a 60-day jail sanction from this court with an admonition that this was going to be your last extension of your probation.
Yes, sir, I hear you.
But what?
Oh, sorry, I was just clearing my throat.
Ultimately, though, this court decides that a prison sanction is not appropriate here. Ms. Swink, there has been significant enough progress overall that this court would deem a prison order at this point to be inconsistent with what I believe are the interest of justice in this case. This court has already tried a 60-day jail sanction, which I would have thought would have had some sort of impression on you, but apparently it didn't. I am dissatisfied with a suggestion that after a 60-day sanction failed, that a 7-day sanction would be effective to be an appropriate punishment for noncompliance. This court disagrees. This court will again impose a 60-day jail sanction as a sanction for noncompliance. This was deliberate noncompliance, failing to contact the officer. And I do understand it may have some life and perhaps job implications, Ms. Swink.
Yeah.
The court's going to order you to serve an additional 60 days in the Greenwood County Jail as a sanction for noncompliance. At the end of that 60-day period, this court sees little reason to utilize the resources of community corrections or any other supervising agency. They've done all they can do for you. And I'll direct that at the end of the service of that 60-day jail time period, I'll order that this case be closed and any remaining financial balances be sent to collection. I will not add to those balances by the assessment of additional attorney fees in light of the court's incarceration sanction. So you're going to need to surrender yourself immediately to the Greenwood County Sheriff's Office, Ms. Swink, to serve an additional 60 days in the county jail. I did have a question, though. Ms. Gillette, are you aware as to how much time, if any, Ms. Swink picked up on this warrant at this round of proceedings before she was released on bond?
I
Like
believe
13 days.
Yeah, I have her being arrested on 12/20 in Neosho County.
Right.
Court will grant her an additional 13 days jail time credit to be credited against the 60-day sanction period. She has 47 more days to do, starting with today. I don't know if do I have a Greenwood County Sheriff's Officer in that immediate proximity in the building?
I think there's one. I don't know. I think there's one downstairs, but I don't know right here.
Ms. Wink, you need to turn yourself in to the Greenwood County Sheriff's Office to begin this sanction period. This could have been much worse today, Ms. Wink. This court could have entered an order having you sent to a women's prison
Yes,
for the
sir.
remainder of your term. I've elected not to do that for the reasons that I've stated earlier. I'm disappointed you weren't able to successfully finish, and I hope you are too. And then I hope that at the end of this sanction period, when you're released back into the community, you're in a position to be successful from here on out.
Thank you, sir.
All right. Ms. Gillette, anything further at this time?
Nothing further from the state.
Mr. Favre?
No, Your Honor.
All right. Very well. Ms. Swink, you know what you need to do.
Yes.
Very
Been
well.
down. Thank you.